That is the sound of a distracted, divided, and dead American until they hear. Battle for freedom, triggering change, one heartbeat at a time. Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 50 Radio. And listen, it is another show, another day, another life, and it is time for us. Actually, we're going to be talking about pioneer life today as we really get into thick of all things Mojo, all things that really matter, and all things for pioneers, for people who set the stage for how we are remembered for the things that we accomplish and the things that we do. So prepare yourself, get ready for a whole lot as we get in and talk about Battle for Freedom, Mojo 50 Radio, Rush Limbaugh, Black History Month, and so much more. I'm hoping that we can make a difference today. If you want to interact, you can go to facebook.com/Mojo 50 Radio and interact. Like I see Carolyn, Belinda, and Linda, they're already out. And they want to share and comment. So thank you very much for being part of the show. They went to facebook.com/Mojo 50 Radio. My website, Battle4Freedom.com. And also cannot forget broadcast without talking about some American Pride Roasters coffee. Check this out. That's it. I've hit the snooze button a dozen times, and now I have to finally get going. But I'm not going to do this day right if I don't start it off with a cup of American Pride Roasters coffee, the official coffee of Mojo 50 Radio. But I'm not going to lie to you. They have a wide variety of blends, but I'm leaning towards the one that's named after me, Watson's White Chocolate Caramel. You know what? It sounds as good as those words that just rolled off of my mouth. Listen, get it today. AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Tell them that Watson from Battle for Freedom sent you, and you want Watson's White Chocolate Caramel Blend to start your day off. Join American Pride Roasters Coffee and Mojo 50 Radio, and most important, Battle for Freedom, as we celebrate the best coffee in the nation. American Pride Roasters. Yes, American Pride Roasters. Share with as many people as you possibly can. Listen, you have to understand why I do this every morning, because of the fact that American Pride Roasters are a pioneer. They're a pioneer to Mojo 50 Radio. They have been awesome and amazing being with this network for the long haul, for a very long time. We really appreciate every last one of them because of the fact that it's not just the official coffee It's not just the official coffee of Mojo 50 Radio. It's great coffee. It's great coffee when you need it. When you're frozen, you're freezing out there. You need some power. You need a little pickup, a little kick, an extra pep in your step. American Pride Roasters Coffee, and tell DM that Watson, who's so grateful for a year ago, conceding to my woke pressures and woke my wokeness pressure craziness, and he finally made my blend. But not only my blend, we got the Keurig, and there was like a 20-pack that you can get with a wide variety of different blends that you can appreciate. And I'm telling you, there was this blueberry flavor that I really loved. There was a whole bunch of them that came in a sample pack that you can enjoy. American Pride Roasters, check them out. I want to spend time today talking to you just about pioneers, the people who have set the way, the people who have just gone out of their way to open up opportunities for the rest of us. We really appreciate. I see Josh and Jill, Lisa, Heidi, Curtis, Brenda, as well as Mitchell. Thank you for being part of this today. You know, one of the things that I thought was really interesting is we're going to remember Rush Limbaugh. Yesterday was a sad day for a lot of people. You know, I've only been doing radio for 6 years. I'm going into my 7th year now. September will be my 7th year of doing radio. And before conceiving of doing radio, I did my blogging and things like that. My moments of wanting to be a Walter Cronkite or something like that. You know, these trailblazers who set the stage for us. You have to understand that in the midst of everything going on, in the midst when we felt like we had nothing, when we felt like there was nothing to do, or there was no opportunity for me to make any headway here or make any headway there. A lot of people feel like that right now in Texas. millions of people are without power, and they feel like it's too late for me to make any innovations in what I do in life. I want to rebuke that. I want to shut down that noise pretty quickly, only because of the fact that you have to understand there's a mentality that comes behind defeat that prevents us from wanting to even try. Right now, there are a lot of people who feel like there's nothing that they can do to overcome the situation of the power outage. But I'm telling you, right now, there are brilliant people who are probably freezing, who are probably hungry, who are probably thirsty, and they're coming up with some amazing ideas of how to survive and make certain that no matter what the temperatures are, Texas will not experience the challenges it's experiencing right now. I mean, we have to get to the point where I'm not going to put it up on the screen for you, but I'm just going to let you hear some of the definitions of Webster's Dictionary of a Pioneer. Webster's Dictionary of a Pioneer. And I love how they do this, and they let you see and give you some kind of hope in the midst of everything going on. So, there's, as the noun, it basically says a member of the military unit, usually a constructor or an engineer. But I like this in the subsections of I love its definition in the subsection of the noun. It is a person or group that originates or helps open up a new line of thought or activity or new method or technical development. Now, this is still coming from a military perspective. And you know what? Praise God. Thank you for everyone who's served. Thank you for everyone who's serving. And thank you for those who are going to serve, because of the fact that you are part of, let's see, I want to make sure I get this right, because the author of Echoes and Ramadi, he basically said that 0.5% of people in the United States, 0.5% of people in the United States actively go out and serve or choose to serve. That, I'm telling you, is just amazing when you sit here and you watch how there's a lot of people who are in desperate need. Unfortunately, people are dying, but right now it's usually in the midst of the craziness. It's usually in the midst of the craziness is where we start finding the major innovation. When people are in want, when people are desperate, and they have to come up with a solution. It's a dark moment, no pun intended, for a lot of people in Texas, but it also is a bright moment because of the fact I believe that someone there, whether they're in Texas in the midst of the darkness or someone around the world or around the country who are desperate to help those who are in need, we're about to see that usually in the darkest moments are the greatest opportunities for the light to shine, the light of Christ to shine, that we serve and we help those who are without power, who are without hope, and then also those who will come up with a great idea of making certain that these pipes don't freeze and that we don't rely on these other alternative energy solutions that are not helping in the midst of this. So let us try and be visionaries right now, because again, I love this when you start looking at the ideas of, when you look at pioneers, and again, I'm going to talk about Russia in a second, but I want you to understand, as I give you the different forms of this verb, as I give you the different understandings of what a pioneer is, I want you to understand here that we make changes, we set new standards. I love this. Here's another one under the verb. As a transitive verb, this is what pioneer means. It's to open to or prepare for others to follow, to originate or take part in the development of. See, this is when we sit here and we start remembering people. And again, I'm a pioneer in my own different way. And many of you, I'm telling you, you can find, and possibly more nuclear, and Curtis, some have actually even talked about looking at fusion technology. So as you sit here and you look at this, you have, what is it? An adjective. Is it the adjective one I want to do too? Yes, relating to or being a pioneer, especially or relating to characteristics of early settlers in their time. So we've gone from people who basically originate and open up a new line of thought, activity, or new method of technical development,
We look at the idea of preparing to open or prepare for others to follow. We also look at the idea of the characteristics of early settlers of their time. Every last one of us, it depends on how you want to look at life. If you want to look at life as just defeating and there's nothing I can do, there's nothing for me to pursue in life, the life just hates me, and I can't get anything accomplished, you never will. You never will get anything accomplished if you keep looking at what's defeating you rather than looking at the opportunities for you to succeed. That God, all the doors that God opens up. The biggest one, as a lot of you who are still struggling with this lockdown and you don't know what to do, you can't get out, and you're running out of all these ideas. I would dare say that you probably need some new life holistic therapy, some biofeedback therapy. Take a listen to this. I want you to understand this.
Does your mind seem like it often shuts down before it even starts? Sounds like you need to detox to improve your health in body, mind, and spirit. I'd like to tell you about New Life Holistic. It is an amazing therapy process that uses neurofeedback and biofeedback for many issues that ails everyone. New Life's method and approach to health, balance, energy, and vitality is what sets it apart from anything you have experienced ever before. Call 1-833-4-BIO-LIFE and tell them Watson from Battle4Freedom has sent you. One more thing. Give them the code MOJO50 and save $50 off of your first session. The consult is free. New Life Holistic.
Yes. Maybe this is going to be what you need right now. Maybe it's that kick in the butt that you need right now. Talk to Dr. Anthony Malchione. Let him help you in the process of understanding how do you recover in the midst of the depression, in the midst of all these negative emotions that you've been going through in the past year. Because I'm trying to tell you, 1 year ago, they started talking about COVID-19 and America started going into a shutdown mode. America started going into a shutdown mode, and we lost all kinds of ways of focusing on realizing that there's more to life than what we have relegated ourselves to over the last year, over the last decade, over the last century. There's more to life. I was watching Mark Walters yesterday. He's a good friend of David Cordrea. Mark Walters, David Cordrea, they're really great guys in terms of talking about, our rights as American citizens, what we can and do, respecting the First Amendment and then the Second Amendment more than anything else. Really good voices that you can hear. And one of the guys that he was listening to brought up something really interesting yesterday during the program. And I had to laugh because of the fact I'm like, yep, these guys are true on what he's saying. Because they talked about the whole idea of a lot of you who say, you ever see those memes that say, well, live out, would you give up TV? Would you give up all these things for a year? Would you give up all these different things for a year to live in this cabin all the way out, in the middle of nowhere? And guess what? COVID proved you're a liar. COVID proved that you are a liar because a lot of people, they were freaking out after being locked down for 3 days. When we sit there, we have most of our winters, and our seasons are 3 months long. Sometimes it seems like winter might go a little bit longer. The cold weather might be a little bit longer. So we may have to wear heavy clothes. We may have to light a fire. We may have to turn up the electricity, the heat in order to stay warm during the winter. But everybody gets, cabin fever. Cabin fever. You say you can live out in this cabin and separate yourself, but honestly, and I talked about this whole idea, and Linda says she grew up in the old ways thanks to her grandparents and who still live that way. Praise God. Because I think that this what we need. As much as I love technology, as much as I love developing things, I really think that we need a blackout. We need now, not to the point that we can't, praying that we have extra wood that we can keep ourselves warm, and we come up with alternative ways of running the things that we're dependent on in hospitals to help people succeed. That's horrific that a lot of these people are doing this. Hopefully they have hopefully they have backup systems, like it's backup generators, especially in hospitals, to overcome what's going on. But think about this: when you have your backup generator, what are you generating? Most of you who did, you went out and you got yourself a small solar generator. What are you backing up? Your cell phone. Your cell phone. And I bet you it's not to talk to everyone. It's more or less to surf Facebook. It's to make tweets. It's just to do things that really don't matter in life. We have to be pioneers. If we're going to be pioneers, we have to start unshackling ourselves from the different things that keep us from being free to think and come out with new and innovative things, new innovative ideas and everything like that. When we have these things that shackle us down, like technology, like tech giants and social media and streaming services, we never rise out of the situation to be all that we can be. I'm not lying to you. When I sit here and I look and I think about my life, a lot of people they insult me because I don't follow the narrative. I don't subscribe myself to the foolishness that keeps other people locked down. Battle for Freedom is about freeing yourself, changing lives one heartbeat at a time, triggering change one heartbeat at a time. And that happens with us basically removing the shackles that have held us back from actually living the way we really need to be. And I said yesterday, and I commented, until we can get to the point that technology is 10% of what makes us happy throughout the day, we're screwed. We are ruined as a people. There's nothing we can do if we constantly have to be plugged into the matrix, if we have to be plugged into the politics, if we have to be plugged into the drama instead of plugged into where God has us or wants us to be. You know, as a high school dropout, in 1988, just before my senior year in 1989, there was other things that were just working in my mind of where God wanted me to be, and just trying to recover from my mom dying and so much. I went back, I got my GED, I took some college classes here, but I was fixated on computers and where I'm going to do, and God has me 31 years later now still in computers. Not as a failure, but as a success of what God's allowed me to do, the things he affords me the opportunity to do. He allows me to work for, by his grace, a Fortune 200 company with no college degree. I'm pursuing my college degree, but look what he provided for me long before I started attending these classes. You have to understand, I want you to say, when I do my cover pages for these programs, I try and have a mentality behind this. Of course, there's the microphone there because I have to talk about Rush Limbaugh. But I also show you the picture of the person who's looking at the he's looking at the mountains. He's looking off into the distance. Where you sit here and you look, he's blurred out because he's focusing more on the mountains than he's focusing on us. Because the idea is not to look at him. The idea is to look at the direction he's going. That's what pioneers do. They don't sit here looking at you, waiting for guidance from you of what they're going to say, what they're going to do, how they're going to think, how they're going to march forward. Pioneers set the standard. That's the reason why a lot of us are sad, because of the fact that, Rush Limbaugh was a pioneer. He didn't have the fancy Ivy League degrees, and he just showed up on the scene and started. And I remember here when I was working in Manhattan, and I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this billboard of Rush Limbaugh, and it's like, he is one loud, crazy Negro. And I'm sitting here trying to make sense of him, and I'm watching the disposition. I didn't have anything against him. I just thought he was just weird. He was strange. But I noticed that he was grabbing a lot of attention. And I noticed also, too, I felt the tension in New York about how people couldn't stand him because of the fact that he wasn't one of those uppity individuals who believe that they should dominate the airwaves and dominate your minds. Rush Limbaugh, he didn't care what they said. He's like, I'm barreling through. I'm doing this. And he became number one. Guess what? Not following the standards. He didn't go out and get himself $500,000 billion in debt to try and be this announcer. He was a pioneer. Now, mind you, there's a lot of hatred right now. There's a lot of hatred that Twitter is allowing hashtag POS, piece of bleep, for those who don't understand this. Twitter is allowing this level of hate speech to take place against Rush Limbaugh, but because we don't want to stop violence. They're allowing this to take place. You have to understand, when you're a pioneer and you set stages, when you start doing things, I mean, why do you think they hate Elon Musk? Because Elon Musk is not following the standard of what everyone else does. See, when you're a pioneer, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be shooting arrows or shooting bullets at you to stop you from succeeding because they don't have the vision and they don't have the clarity and they don't have the determination and integrity to pull off what you can do. Right now, everybody has been complaining about what they can and cannot do because of COVID, because of lockdowns, because of restrictions. And I've been telling you since March last year, God has opened up an opportunity for you. What was that dream? What was that passion? What was that thing that you wanted to do? You want to go back to school? You want to get into development, or programming, or writing, or whatever it is. 15 minutes a day, you can get your things accomplished. But we keep complaining, oh, they're locking us down, they're restricting us. And I'm sitting here thinking, here it is a year later after the lockdowns began. There are people who are probably complaining in Texas about lockdowns. All I did for a year was complain about lockdowns instead of actually choosing to prepare. Instead of choosing to prepare for this moment. I talked to you about, I'll find the book in a minute. Civil Defense with Jack Lawson. We've been telling you about preparing. We've been telling you about preparing for the worst case scenario. And here it is. The worst case scenario is taking place right now. You made fun of us. You called us tinfoil hats. You called us delusional, and we don't know what we're talking about. Well, looky here. There's no power. There's no power, and people are suffering. What are you going to do? Yeah. Yes, Musk is a sick person. He has his moments. He has his moments, Belinda, trust me. But you have to understand, sometimes it's the people who, there are some people who are definitely a little bit off their rockers, and some of the ideas and concepts that they come with are a little bit different. Yes. Margaret Sanger was a pioneer in death. Margaret Sanger was a pioneer in 20th century death. She set the stage. Yeah, she set the stage for Hitler. She started Planned Parenthood. Hitler did his eugenics program and basically killed all those Jews and so many more during his thing. And you know what? And progressivism has continued to follow that whole process. Now, mind you, that death-like mindset has proceeded long before Sanger, before Hitler, going back centuries. The socialists, the tyrants, the totalitarianists have existed long before. But right now, we have an opportunity to be pioneers for so much more. Folks, Dave Ramsey, a pioneer for people and their finances. I talk about it for 2 years now and more. Follow Dave Ramsey. This is how you get out of debt. This is how you save up money. This is how you put yourself in a position and you can buy those supplies that you needed when everybody else had nothing else. Dave Ramsey says, live like nobody tomorrow so you can live today so you can live like nobody tomorrow. See, these pioneers have given us the solutions. The question is whether or not you want to follow the answers, or you're going to stay in your pride and sit there and whittle and die away. I'm your host, Battle4Freedom from Battle4Freedom. Let's go to a break, and I'll talk to you beautiful people on the flip side.
Warning: the next 2 minutes will be without music. Why? Because someone in a third world country decided to copyright open source, or basically royalty-free music. Right now, you would probably be listening to soothed sounds of elevator music. But no, I got a warning that music is copywritten. So you will have to listen to my voice for the next minute and 30 seconds. Why? Because I haven't come up with something unique for you to listen to. Now, in this time, while you've been mesmerized by my voice, I hope you would have taken the advantage to go make yourself another pot of American Pride Roasters coffee, or go to the potty break, or take a potty break. Because when we get back, I will keep you enraptured with my wit and my silliness. And I hope that your bladder will be forgiving to you if you do not go now. 1 minute left. That's how much time you have to quickly use the restroom and wash your hands. Remember, 20 seconds for scrubbing to make certain that you get rid of the Rona and anything else that could make you sick. Now, it's about 40 seconds left, and I still have the feeling that you're not going anywhere because you just want to hear what I'm going to say. If you soil yourself, it's your fault. I gave you the opportunity. Less than 30 seconds left. Now you've lost the proper window of washing your hands after using the restroom. What are you going to do now? Are you just going to sit there and wait to hear what I have to say? Guess what? We're almost 10 seconds away. Are you really prepared to go the distance? Well, I really appreciate your tenacity. Battle4Freedom is back now.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Battle4Freedom from Battle4Freedom on Mojo5 Radio. My website, Battle4Freedom.com. I also want you to do me a favor and consider another pioneer, Doc Johnson, Ron Phillips, Beth Knott, and so many more, who decided to start Mojo5 Radio. Mojo5 Radio, pioneer on free radio. Talk radio with free speech that gives you the freedom to say what you need to and what you want. That you're not relegated to a box. There's a couple words we can't say, and there's rules about being respectful, but at the end of the day, be as creative and as free as you need to be. Mojo50.com. Thank you, Doc Thompson, for the avenues that you've paved to make available for many of us to be here today. We thank Rush Limbaugh for what he has done, but there are many who have followed his footsteps and have been pioneers in their own way in the radio business. And we really appreciate every last one of them. And it's a great opportunity for me, seriously, to sit here and talk to you as a member, two plus years now on Mojo5 Radio. Me, myself, again, many of you will sit here and, because here's a funny thing about it. I was saying in the first segment, listen, I'm a pioneer. I do things my own way. I walk to my own beat. Granted, it's God's beat and the unique ways that he has made me, but I am not going to be relegated to follow groupthink when it comes to how I live. See, right now, many people are probably thinking, how dare you sit here and talk about a white man during Black History Month? Because I can. Because I don't want to be relegated to 1 month in highlighting the successes of Black people who are out there. And not just Black people of all walks of life. See, because limited thinking believes that we have no right to talk about the success of whites during, or any other color of or ethnicity of individuals during February. That's limited thinking. Those are followers. Those are pawns. That's pawn mentality. That's not pioneer mentality. Pioneers think outside the box. Pioneers make new boxes. Pioneers are not eating crumbs off of the old pie. Pioneers are making ingredients, making recipes, and making new pies that people can go after. Rush Limbaugh made the biggest delicious pie that's out there, and you know what? And a lot of people right now in this vacuum, in this great loss of what took place in losing Rush Limbaugh, a lot of people are going to do everything that they can to be the next Rush Limbaugh, and I tell you, that's pawn thinking. That is pawn thinking. Be your own self. Be your own voice. Stop copying other individuals. The world doesn't need another Rush. The world needs more pioneers. And if you think, I'm gonna cling on to what Snurdenly is doing, I'm gonna cling on to what Doc Thompson's gonna do, and I'm gonna be that. No, be yourself, and you'll see the success of many of the different shows. The Daily Mojo that comes on Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. A lot of the different programs that you can listen to that are unique when the people choose to just be themselves. That's what Doc Thompson wanted. Yes, we can remember everything. We can remember everything that Rush has done. We can remember everything that Doc Thompson has done. But at the end of the day, he's telling us he was looking for pioneers. He was looking for pioneers, unique voices, unique mindsets, unique identities that would break waves, that would break standards in radio. That's what you need to be. But if you're going to follow a cookie cutter pie cutting situation, you will never break any boundaries, and you will be relegated to just less than mediocre. Pioneers don't want to be stuck in cookie cutters. They break the mold. They make new molds. Be a pioneer. I just try to help us understand how critical it is for us. And I'm sorry, the subtitle of this didn't come through the way you need to. Breaking barriers and setting standards. This is what the pioneer life is about. Breaking barriers and setting standards. Let me go back to the definitions. Let me go back to one of the definitions of this on pioneer. For those of you who missed it in the first segment, the noun under Merriam-Webster says basically under the subsection of the first one, when talking about a noun, and it says a member of the military unit, usually of construction engineers. I love this first subsection. It says a person or a group that originates or helps open up a new line of thought or activity or a new method or technical development. Then you move down to the verb, and it basically says in the transitive verb of the word pioneer, it says to open or prepare for others to follow. See, and you have to understand, I want to stop with that one for a second there, is because Rush set the standard to open up the opportunity for others to follow. We didn't humble ourselves. We didn't follow what everybody else was doing. We followed the pattern. We followed the standard of being a pioneer, not being a Rush, not being a Doc, being a pioneer. And I love that, Carolyn. She says, I wear my own kind of hat. I love that. Exactly. You wear your own kind of hat in the midst of lockdown, in the midst of everything else that's been the restrictions that you thought you couldn't live. I can't breathe being stuck in my house. I'm telling you, you are too busy wearing other people's hats. You are too busy, as I sit here wearing my Mojo 50 radio hat. I'm doing that because I want you to understand that we have the opportunity to open up to free speech. Go to mojo50.com. Click donate, click schedule, click shop, click everything when you go there. because of the fact that this gives you the opportunity for you to see, and when you click the schedule button, you see the different kinds of radio programs that you could follow on this network, a wide variety of different personalities. Normally, before this show on Thursdays, you would probably be listening to Room 13 with Raquel Lee and Eric with Fish from Room 13. Tomorrow, I believe it is it Pat Oni? Again, if you go to mojo50.com, mojo50.com/schedule, don't wait for me to try and tell you and memorize the whole schedule, because I'll screw it up like a soup sandwich. But be a pioneer. Set the stage, set the example that other people can maybe not mimic, because they shouldn't mimic us. No one should ever mimic our success. No one should ever mimic our success. What they should do is they should build from what we have and follow a pattern of thinking. I'm thinking outside the box. I'm breaking barriers and setting standards. I want my show to set a new standard. I don't want to sound, listen, don't call me a black conservative radio host. I'm not that. One, I'm not black. I'm not black. Two, I'm not conservative. I'm an American who has some conservative tendencies, constitutionally strong, a libertarian-like. I used to call myself a Republitarian, but I don't want anything to do with Republicans until they get their acts together. And sometimes there's issues with libertarians that they got to get their acts together. That's the reason why I have to walk my own drum. I love that, Carolyn. I wear my own kind of hat. See, when you've been crying about being locked out and not being able to go to the beach, go to the movie, go to the bar, I'm sitting here thinking those places were taking your money, taking your time, and taking that critical life development time from you. We need to figure out, how do we plan? How do we program? How do we build ourselves in the midst of a vacuum? And I'm telling you, all of a sudden yesterday, when Rush Limbaugh, you have the wickedness where there's the left is celebrating his passing, and it's like they like this vacuum of hatred. The people who want unity are the most vilest people on social media right now. And some of them are probably sitting back, drinking their wine or drinking their Kool-Aid, happy that he's gone. Yeah, so much for being a pioneer of unity, so much for being a pioneer of better thought, of better living, of better way, of being socially refined and highly educated. You're so educated, you're so dumb to recognize that you're going to stand before God and he will say, "Depart from me, I never knew you, you workers of" what? Iniquity, of sin, of debauchery, of hatred, and pseudo-righteousness, pseudo-holiness. Depart from me. I want nothing to do with you. You celebrated the life. You celebrated the life of someone dying. And I love the last one. Of relating to or characteristics of early settlers of their time. Right now, America needs not America. Not only America. See, this is where we change. Don't be a pioneer for America. Be a pioneer to be a pioneer. See, a lot of people right now, they want to be the next pioneers for radio. And so all they're doing is fixating on, how do I get to number one, than rather just being a pioneer, being a host, being unique, being amazing enough to draw enough attention that people will want to listen and follow you. So you're going to see a lot of gimmicks, you're going to see a lot of repetition, and it's going to get nauseating for the next several months to several years. And now everybody's thinking, well, Hannity's a new one, or Levin's a new one, or no. Some people think that they just automatically inherited the throne. See, that's pawn mentality. That's pawn mentality, when you think that you earned something that you just walked right into. You inherited greatness. me, me does think that thou art too into thyself. I would not say protest as much. My Shakespeare's not that great today. Another pioneer, Shakespeare. Listen, folks, this is the critical moment. You have to understand, a lot of people, we keep thinking we're looking for the Elon Musks. We're looking for the Jeff Bezos. We're looking for the Mark Zuckerbergs who are doing this. No. The Bill Gates, no. You have to understand that the pioneers are even closest to you. Let me go through a couple of pioneers close to me when I look at this. Talking about Rush Limbaugh. I want to talk about my younger brother. He was the first. He was the pioneer in my family to get a degree. Unfortunately, he has student loans and he's got to deal with that. But I appreciate that because my mom and my dad, I didn't have higher than a high school education. So my brother, he set the stage. He was a pioneer in getting higher education. Pray for him and many other people that they can, every last person who's decided if they have student loans, those student loans are paid off. It's a painful process, but I recognize his success in there. My cousin who moved here, from New York, he is a pioneer in entrepreneurship, or in the idea of trying different ideas, different plans, different ways to raise up money and income that's independent. He's taking his money, he's making his own investments on how he can make his business a success. Right now, he has an online business for selling things. He's like the next. I know there are a lot of people who are out there sharing their stuff on how they sell things online. But if you go to findsmarket.com, FINDS market.com, you can buy things there. He decided that he was going to start his own business online. A lot of people are doing it, but he's the first pioneer that I know in my family who's decided to take that route. And again, myself, no college education, 31 years in IT. The Lord has given me the ability to write multiple books. I published my first book in 2011. I published my second book in 2013 and 2015. I can't remember. It's been so long. Right now, because of the fact that I don't want to be relegated into following what everybody else is doing, I'm trying to do things with a little bit more work, a little bit more time. Let me show you some of the different things that God has allowed me to work on. See, because those of you who don't know, and again, I'm in the process of rebuilding the Stone's Heart website, but Stone's Heart was a book that God had given me. Stone's Heart was a book that God gave me in 2010, and I have been loving writing and working on that. And I'm in the process of trying to turn that book into a movie. And so in the process of doing this, I want to make certain that you can see what God has allowed me to do. So, there's a there's a character in the Stone's Heart series. His name is Kuhn. Kuhn, not Koon. His name is Kuhn, and he is a military general who's obsessed with power. He's a villain who's in this. Now, I had other views of what he looked like, but I've made investments in programs to allow me, because this is going to be about 80% CGI. So 80% of this is going to be CGI. Of those books, when I thought I was at a low actually I was at a great moment in my life, because just before meeting my wife in 2000, I had met my wife earlier in 2000, late in 2009, but we couldn't be in a relationship at that time. But as God was working through me on what I needed to do, because actually earlier 2009, I wrote my very first book, second book. In 2009, I finished it in the beginning. In 1 month, I wrote one book. In February of 2009, I wrote Fractured Faith. Later that year, in 2010, the next year, I decided in the next February to start writing Stone's Heart. So in 1 year, Stone's Heart, the first book of Stone's Heart was written, what was that, 72,000 words? 73,000 words written from February 1st to December 25th. December 26th of 2010, I started writing the second book of Stone's Heart, and I finished that 78 to 80,000 words in that next year. I got married in 2011, which was a great, wonderful thing. And as I started, my family, I did continue starting to write the third book of Stone's Heart, which has been completed, and that was started in 2012, but I took to 2013 because my daughter was born, and I wanted to just really focus on, I got back to writing later, but focusing on my wife, my family, it was a great time. It was, and it still is a great time in my life. But one of the characters, and over the years, I've been evolving on what this character would look like. And this is what I finally came up with yesterday. So this is this diabolical individual. He's an alien. He's an alien from another life. See the realism on what I work with on making this happen here. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, how do I find one of the most conniving individuals that I could work with that I could work with as I'm developing and taking my characters from book to screen. And this has been exciting, and you have to understand that in this thing, as you look at the imagery of those of you who are following on social media, those of you who are listening on radio, I'm sorry, you'll just have to check out my Stone's Heart page on Facebook and get a couple more pictures, see what it looks like. But you have to understand, in the background, it's really bright. I'm not putting a lamp in this. One of the programs that I have to make these 3D characters allows me to use the lights that I take. It takes light from the pictures that I make to lighten up the environment. But this is one of those different things that I love doing. And take care, Linda. This is one of the things that I love doing, that finally seeing this, I'm probably the first person in my family to write a book, not just one book, to write. I've written 1, 2, at least 5 books so far, and I have more on the way. A pioneer. Well, you'll never make anything. My goal is not to be the next Stephen King or all these other different things. I write, I create, I speak to you on the radio, through social media, and any way or any platform possible, because of the fact that I don't want to be relegated to what people tell me I cannot do. And that's the problem. Pioneers don't accept those kind of boundaries. They don't like those restrictions. I'm telling you right now, in the midst of this craziness, people have been coming up with innovative ideas of changing the world. And my thing is, why aren't you? Oh, well, I gotta continue my streaming. I'm really stuck in this series, or I'm really stuck in these sports. I'm really the NFL's over. NFL's over. You waiting for baseball? You waiting for basketball? All these different things that have been sapping your time and your creativity out. I'm telling you, you have an opportunity to be a pioneer. Whatever that idea is, whatever that clue is, whatever that concept that you had that was sitting on whether it was a napkin or whether it was sitting on a sticky note, is sitting there, and it's probably lost under the clutter of all the other things that you thought were pertinent in your life. I'm not lying to you. I get confused when people start talking about cabin fever. You ever heard of a book? You ever heard of a book? I know. See, that's the thing about it. Pioneers don't get stuck in rituals that keep them relegated to a certain pattern of living. Pioneers don't get stuck in the religion of rituals that get them stuck in a pattern of living. You can't break boundaries if you just keep going in circles. Sooner or later, you have to get off the track. Sooner or later, you have to say, I want to try this. A lot of people who are stuck on the track. What do we used to call it? What was it? Was it the rat wheel? A lot of people are on the rat wheel thinking that they're going somewhere. A lot of you right now are trying to figure out, where did that time go? Where did those opportunities go that I could have made this happen? If I only had more time. You've had a year. We have had a year. Yes, Curtis, fear is the mind killer. Amen, Carolyn. Amen. Read the Bible. Read the Bible when you're troubled. Right now, the word of life. You want inspiration? You want to be a pioneer? God's the pioneer. Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created. Nobody did what God did. He made universes, he made planets, he made the seas, the continents, and animals and people. For some of those who need to say peoples, he's the pioneer. He is the pioneer of life and so much more. Connect to the Creator, who has the most amazing level of creation, imagination, and trend-setting ideas. The rat race and the hamster wheel. Both of them, Brian. Both of them. A lot of people, you're stuck there right now. It is, you don't know what to do. You know, one of the, I always get the other address wrong. I think it's mojo50energy.com that will lead you to another one of our sponsors, which is Patriot Energy. I want to take a second so you can listen to them, because a lot of people wishing they had them some Patriot Energy.
Are your energy bills getting out of hand and you want more control of your expenses? Consider Patriot Energy, a local veteran-owned solar company. You need honesty, integrity, and clarity. These markers are essential in the ever-growing solar industry. Call 602-721-6717 for a free quote. Tell them that Watson from Battle4Freedom sent you, and he's from Mojo50 Radio. And that number again, 602-721-6717. Call Patriot Energy today.
Yes, Patriot Energy today. Listen, folks, pioneers start with this mindset. They're not waiting for someone else to fix their problems. That's the first step in being a pioneer. That's the first step in being a trendsetter, is not waiting for somebody else to fix your problems. See, Rush didn't wait, and so many other different ways. I'm not waiting, and neither should you. The question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to hunker down in your rebellion, complaining about what you can't do? Or will you pull out a pad, pull out a paper, if you have to pull out a computer and open up Notepad or whatever it is, start your blueprint to success now. Your first step for it is, like I said, connect to the Creator, the Redeemer of life, who will give you amazing imagination. I'm not going to lie to you. When I wrote Fractured Faith, it was February of 2009. I prayed to God, give me this thing here. And it was in 19 days. I wrote 43,000 words in 19 days. It was one Saturday alone. 10,000 words in one day. The ideas just floated off my mind. I just couldn't stop writing. And I'm not going to lie to you. People talk about having those moments when they feel closest to God. I know I have that when I'm reading the Word of God and and I'm praying and I'm having my devotion. But I'm not going to lie to you. When I allow God to write through me, it is the most amazing experience possible. Why? Because when I look at what's finally on the paper, when I look at what the pen, when I look at what the keyboard has typed, I recognize I never had that idea. I never had that concept before. So when he helped me with Fractured Faith, when he helped me with Stone's Heart, as I sat there coming up with new ideas, new planets, new people, I have a cuneiform. I'm starting to develop the fonts for the Stone's Heart universe. I have some letters, I have cuneiforms, I have the phonetic alphabet, I have the numerical system. I have so much more because of the fact that when I could have just chose to say I have nothing to do in life, God created through me. And I'm telling you, those moments when I watch to see what God could write through me, it brings me to tears to know that my God could bless me with such creativity. Listen, Brad Staggs and Daily Mojo is up next. If you are going to be following Mojo Fiber Radio, stay connected. And more important, be a pioneer. Be a trendsetter. Don't follow. But like Carolyn said, wear your own kind of hat and make a difference. I'm your host, Watson Bernier for Battle for Freedom on Mojo Fiber Radio. I appreciate every last one of you beautiful people. Live on and live strong. Bye-bye.